what is arguably the largest release that we've seen since 4.0 dropped in December, there's a lot that you need to do to prepare, and not a lot of time with this release dropping in potentially the next couple of days. Stay tuned to find out more. Release 4.1 is probably only a couple of days out, and if you're anything like me, you've probably got pretty involved in the game in 4.0.2. So there leaves a little bit of house cleaning that you actually need to do to make sure that you're not going to lose out on a bunch of potential profit. The first thing you really need to consider is, what are you going to do with all of the containers of goods that you have left over from the events? If you're like myself, I went in and I actually managed to acquire about 2,000 SCU of tin before they jacked the prices up. Now, yeah, I was one of those people standing at the kiosks waiting for it to refresh, but that leaves me with a whole bunch of tin that I now need to sell. And luckily in my favor, with the increase of the price, it's actually very profitable to sell this now. So there's a couple of different options that you have here. First off, you can go to any commodity kiosk that will sell it. There's a bunch of tools online to find out exactly where to go. Once you go to the commodity terminal, you can just simply sell your goods. It's like that for all commodity trading, and the same as it's always been. Now, the other approach that I'm taking is I actually want to finish off the contracts. Using the contracts is actually far more profitable than selling the goods by themselves. But for instance, tin and ice, you can buy an 8 SCU for about 250,000 credits. That same 8 SCU, or actually 6 SCU of each, is actually worth 750,000, meaning it's about 250,000 more profitable, or 30% more profitable, to complete the contract. Now, I've already done everything I need to get all of the different items that they're going to give me, but I want to finish off every possible contract. What that means is I need to take the contract in the given location, get my goods to that location, and then complete that contract. What I've done is I've stored all my goods in Ruin Station. I wait for the contract to come up for Ruin Station. I simply go to the cargo elevator, put the items from the station inventory onto the cargo elevator, lift it up, drop it again. That immediately completes the contracts for you. All my goods are stored there, so I'm just continuously doing that for both the RMC and construction material, as well as the tin and the ice that I have kind of stockpiled. Now, I work with a group of a couple of people, so I did have a bit of spares, and they all just kind of gave me their spares when they had actually completed everything they needed to. So I'm the one who's sitting here trying to actually clean all of our inventory up here. So once you've sold off all of your containers of goods, because remember that any container that you have in your inventory, whether it's in a ship inventory or the station inventory, now don't forget that this also includes any refinery jobs that you have. Those have to be cleaned up as well. Will be wiped when the release comes out. They are not persistent between releases or patches. But once you've done that, the next thing to do is really kind of tidy up your ships. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that none of your ships are currently in a destroyed status or an unknown status. What that means is recall or issue an insurance claim on every single one of your ships, and make sure that each of those ships is somewhere. Now, it doesn't have to be on your pad or anything like that, and it's actually best if it's not on your pad. It's actually stored in the inventory. If you're anything like me who keeps an ATLS in his hangar, make sure that you actually store that. Now, the reason that you want to do that is because you're actually at risk of losing that ship, or the ATLS in my case, when the patch comes out if it is not properly stored and written to the database. Now, it doesn't happen all the time. It's happened a lot less in recent patches, but again, it's very important to make sure that everything is actually stored and just kind of well taken care of. Now, the other thing is ship components. I've gotten in the habit of taking off all of my upgraded ship components and just storing them in the station inventory. Yes, that does mean you're going to have to re-equip all of your ships, which in some cases can be a real pain. But it's well worth it if you don't have to go and buy jump drives and quantum drives and all sorts of stuff, and especially the travel time that it takes to go find those components and upgrade it. It's a lot easier to just kind of store them. Now, they will all appear back at your home location when you choose your home location in the next patch. So it's really just a matter of claiming all of your ships and reassigning it when the time comes. It's a pain, but it's well worth it. Now, the way that you swap out those components is you simply go into your Mobiglass, go over to the far right-hand side under Vehicles, select the components that you've customized, and remove them from your ship. That'll take it and put it into the station inventory. And that means that it'll actually be persisted and brought back in after the patch comes out. Now, I know that they're doing a lot of work to make sure that these things are not lost between patches, but for the little bit of work that it actually takes, it's a lot easier than going and dropping 150,000 credits on another quantum drive after the release comes out. Now, if you're just here to find out the things you absolutely needed to do before 4.1 comes out, you're welcome to click off at this point. But if you're interested in exactly what's coming in 4.1 and exactly what to expect when the patch actually does roll out, probably later this week, I'd suggest that you stick around for a few minutes. If you're enjoying the content so far, make sure that you like and subscribe, because I have a whole bunch of other really useful videos out there that might actually come in handy for you as well. Now, let's get on with it. Now, just to prepare yourself a little bit, what are you actually going to lose? The Star Citizen is a little bit strange in the fact that as patches come out, you lose a lot of the things that are more consumable. Now, these might only cost you 5 credits here and there, but me, it actually kind of irks me in the sense that I can go out and buy 20 Cruise Lux and I might lose them the next day. So one thing I do when patches are about to come out, and this applies for every patch, not just 4.1, is make sure that you kind of minimize the amount of extra stuff that you buy. So if you're running low on hydration, buy 2 or 3, not 20 or 30 like you normally would. Now, the things that you are going to lose are typically the consumables and the ammo. Ammo is technically consumable, but worth mentioning anyway. Now, hopefully you're not going to lose your contested zone loot this time. It is something that they've said that they fixed, but it has not yet actually been proven on whether or not you're going to. So I would prepare to actually lose it, and if it's still there after the patch, great. Now let's talk for a few minutes on exactly what we're getting with release 4.1. Now, 4.1 is arguably one of the largest patches that we've seen since release 4.0 came out. And it's actually a very large patch even by the standards ever since I started playing. So the biggest thing that I see coming in this release is actually the Tier 0 item recovery. Now, this in itself really isn't that special, but more what it actually represents. It's the first step down the line of issuing insurance and claiming insurance and making items non-claimable. Now, in Tier 0, which is what we're getting in 4.1, it's as simple as you will respawn with the items that you have equipped in the medbed when you die. Now, any consumables or things that are on your belt or inside your backpack will not carry forward, and those can be looted off your body. What it does mean is that if you're shot by another player, they cannot come and claim your armor, helmet, guns, etc. Anything that you have equipped, and that includes your guns and your backpack. The other players will not be able to actually retrieve those from your dead body. Some of the other notable things that are actually coming out is there's a lot of work that's been done to separate ground vehicle mining from FPS mining. So currently the gems and the minerals that you actually get from both types of mining are really largely the same. Going forward, they're going to have a separate set of resources that you can get when you hand mine versus when you use something like the ROC or a vehicle versus when you're actually mining with something like a prospector and a ship. Now, immediately, they came along and launched the ATLS Geo, and the ATLS Geo is actually going to have the capability to do both the hand mineable or the FPS mining stuff, as well as the vehicle mining. So it is a little bit suspicious on whether or not they made the separation just to go and sell this vehicle, which is the only thing capable of doing that, or whether or not it was actually an intended game feature. But they did describe it back in CitizenCon, and honestly, I think it's a great idea. One of the other very large things that's actually coming into the game that I think is long overdue is they've really redone the ship collision physics. What that means is you can no longer take a Fury and take out a Polaris by yourself. So the way that the new physics work is it's based on the size of the ship and the momentum that you're using and what you're hitting. So if that same Fury hits a Polaris today, it's basically going to be like a bug on the windshield. This, I think, makes a lot of sense because in reality, if you hit a bug with a windshield, it wouldn't blow up your entire car, like it does today with the Polaris. So I'm welcoming this change, although I'm sure people will find a way to abuse it. A couple of the other things that are coming in, they are bringing in the Volt weapons, which I know we've seen a lot about. There's also new or returned missions for things like medical beacons, courier missions, and the 890 jump boarding action missions. There's also 2 new kind of tied-in events that are coming. So there's the Wicklow collector missions. Now, in that case, you will do a bunch of different missions to earn rewards. For instance, a Polaris is one of the items that you can actually get. Now, I don't imagine that's going to be a simple undertaking, but it can be done. The other main mission that seems to be coming in is the new Align and Mine event. What that'll do is it'll have you aligning a bunch of space stations, which will dig a really big hole in the ground and facilitate you actually going down to either hand mine or ROC mine down there. And there you have it. That's really all of the notable things that are coming in 4.1, along with a whole bunch of bug fixes and other just kind of quality of life improvements that they've done. That's really all of the notable things that are coming into this release. Hope you've enjoyed your time here today. And if you are like a lot of players that are struggling to try and finish off those supply or die missions in Pyro, and you're struggling to find the resources like the ice or the tin, check out my video here, which helps to actually describe exactly where to find those goods.